it's key that your people in your beta get through it and have good results, because they will be your biggest emissaries. Like, they'll send people to you if you help them. And that has happened to me. What are a few of the gamification pieces that somebody could work in as a newbie course creator? They're putting it on ClickFunnels, they're putting it on Kajabi, like they don't have a huge budget. What are some things that will actually get people to complete it? Because I know you and I had this conversation, and like my biggest fear when I was like, I'm going to build a course and put it out, you were like, this is how you actually get people to get through it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing is you don't need you don't need the technology. You don't need the bells and whistles. What you need is a really intentional way to think about, how do you recognize people for the progress that they're making? How do you give them feedback on the things that they're doing, all along the path, right? And so there's the beginning, right? So when you're onboarding somebody, how do you recognize the small steps that they're taking to get started? How do you help them form habits and like do the activities, right? Because here's what happens is when you're learning something new, at the beginning, you're like super excited and you're like, yay, I have my notebook, my pencil, and I'm all ready. And then they start going and they're like, oh crap, this is hard, right? I actually have to do something, or I have to change my mindset, or I have to, like, there's a reason why. A lot of times, like if you're building a skill, like you just don't know how to do it. You've just never done it before, right? But a lot of times people are coming into courses and looking for help because they haven't been able to kind of get past that step that they need in order to get to the next level. And so what happens is it gets hard in the middle. So I call that the dip. It's this natural place where people start to fall off, right? Because it gets hard and you actually have to do the work. And then at the end, people are super excited, right? So at the beginning, it's easy to, bring them in, celebrate that they're there, give them some recognition for the small wins. At the end, it's great to celebrate and recognize that they've taken action, they've gotten the result, and, do the hoopla, right? All of those are super easy. The part that most people miss is continuing to follow up and help them along the way. The beauty of a tool, of a platform that allows you to automate that, is that you don't have to think about that, right? But you can do that through email. You can even do that just, by putting it on your calendar and following up with people, right? So there are so many different ways to recognize people along the path. The key is building that into your plan, and saying, okay, so they finished this step, and this is the action I want them to take at this step. If they take that action, I am going to recognize them for taking that action, right? Second step, what do I want them to do? Recognize them for taking that action. And it could be, again, like something small. Here's an email. Good job. You finished that assignment. You finished that action. You got some points for doing that. You can do badging. You can get fancy with it. You can send, so at the end, when somebody in my course reaches their beta, they launch their beta, they get a t-shirt, right? And so that's a celebration that you have gone through the work, you've done your beta, awesome job. Here's a way to do that. Now, I have somebody in my program who literally every week, she's like, I'm getting closer to my shirt. All I want is my shirt. When am I going to get my shirt, right? So that's motivating her to continue forward. It's something super simple that's just automatically set up, right? So when somebody reaches that milestone, then all that's automated. So there's lots of different ways to do that, but it's really just thinking through and being creative about, how do you recognize somebody for the work that they're doing?
There are a multitude of things that you can do that are cheap. Shirts, if they're too expensive, you can get stickers. I send people postcards.
Yep.
Just like do a little touch point, because that's the thing. Like, you can scale it as you get bigger, but when you're small, just make sure people are happy. I use a program called Text Magic, and I'll text people follow-ups. Hey, how are you doing with this? Hey, congratulations. Just send them something fun that nobody else is doing that. And if you touch people's lives like that and you actually show that you care, they will definitely move forward.
Well, and it's not hard, right? I mean, you just think about, like, there's this perception that that your life offline is different than your life online, right? Like if you are seeing somebody, you know, struggling with something, or somebody learning something, or somebody doing something, and you're like, I want to recognize that person. It's just being like, good job. That was amazing. Like all people want is recognition. So you can make it super simple or super fancy, but it's really just, you know,
Super
anticipating.
simple.
Yeah.
Super simple works. I mean, it
Right.
really does. Just
Right.
send them a Facebook message. Like
Yeah.
send them, I'll send a little voice message, something like that. As you scale, you can find automated ways to do it. But when you're small, especially in your beta, it's key that your people in your beta get through it and have good results, because they will be your biggest emissaries. Like they'll send people to
For sure.
you if you help them. And that has happened to me quite a bit.
Yeah. Here's a pro tip. So the pro tip is this. Yes. The pro tip is this, is that anticipate the obstacles that your learners will have along the path. If you can anticipate what obstacles they're going to have, then you can build in specific points that you want to follow up with them on. Right. So like the first one is when they get started, they're super excited. And then they figure out that they have some like mind gunk. And you're like, you know what? The last couple people that I've done this with, they have some mind stuff I'm going to have to work with them on. I know this is coming. So instead of waiting until they ask the question, feed them the question, right? Recognize them, follow up with them, say, you know, you may be thinking this. You're on the right path, blah, 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 right? So if you can anticipate what obstacles or challenges they're going to have, it's a game changer.